These are popular arguments that I used to make when I was a young Christian in my 20s, to which later on I realized that I was just simply wrong and trying to force Christianity to fit into the knowledge base that we have today, and not recognize the fact that Christianity was written and made up by men who did not understand the natural forces of science, and therefore try to use the God of the gaps in order for you to be able to understand it. And even in today, people are still trying to make God a scientist in the way that it would still facilitate that the Bible is correct. This gentleman is saying that, God is that maker of science, but science then took God out of the equation because God just simply does not fit into science. In the same way, he didn't say it, but others have said that Adam, A-D-A-M, is really A-T-O-M, atom. And the splitting of the atom was the splitting from Adam to Eve, which then created everything. This is you trying to take knowledge of today and implement it into their time frame. They had no ideals about molecules and atoms and things of that nature. They didn't know about gas giants. They didn't know that the sun was just a star and not something different than a star. They thought it was something different, not realizing they were the same thing, not understanding how the sun works. So therefore, they worship the sun. People worship the sun and then thought the stars were other deities out there, and the sun was the prime deity. This has nothing to do with your God. This is man's perspective as far as his limited knowledge at any given time frame. Just like we have limited knowledge right now, but we have more scientific knowledge than they had back then. So to say that God, the Bible speaks of gas giants and things of that nature because the earth was void and formless, and God hovered above the waters. If the earth was void, meaning nothing there, then there would be no waters. So void does not necessarily mean that there's nothing there. It means that there is certain things that are not there. So you can use the term void to say that the moon is void of life, but that doesn't mean the moon itself is void. You can say that the sun is void of life, but that doesn't mean the sun is void. So the earth being void, meaning that the earth is void of life, because what this God then creates on earth is life in the plants, the animals, the people, and all other sorts of things that are conducive for life to be on earth. So if there are waters that he's hovering above, then the earth is not void. It is just void, period, like doesn't exist. It just doesn't have any shape or form in order to be suitable for the life that this God is trying to create. So you're trying to force this God into the narrative of what we know about science, when simply this could be how they understood the earth went through a destructive time frame, either the Younger Dryas or this war in heaven, as they try to make it into that out of the book of Enoch, because it's not within your Bible, but everywhere in your Bible is referencing the books of Enoch as far as a war in heaven. So that aspect of it is just them trying to force that, right? Then you say the Bible doesn't say anything about the earth being 7,000 years old. No, it doesn't say it explicitly that the earth is 7,000 years old, because that would be a sad statement, because we do live in linear time. And since we live in linear time, then if you put a time frame that the earth, an age of the earth, then as time goes on, that age continues to change. So therefore, the Bible doesn't say 7,000, the earth is 7,000 years or however many years, but you almost got it. You almost got it. You kind of like made the statement, but then showed where if you use math, because your math ain't mathing, then you would understand that the earth, according to your Bible, is in and around 6,000 years old. Because if you take from the birth of Jesus and you go all the people who begat the people who begat the people who begat the people all the way back to Adam, and when they begat, how old they were when they begat these people, and then when they were born, and how old that person was when they begat them, and how old they, and then to when their birth, and you get all the way back to Adam, you get that the earth, according to the Bible, is about 6,600 plus years old. That is how young earth creationists date it back. That's how archaeology, that's how biblical apologists date it back. So yes, according to your Bible, the earth is only about 6,600 plus years old. It is not the accurate to what we know. Even if you look at carbon dating, from my understanding, and I know I'm not a scientist in that realm, from my understanding, carbon dating says that the half-life of carbon is like a certain number, like 6,000 years, somewhere like 6 or 12,000 years, one of those two. Which means that another half-life of carbon, and I don't know why they split a half-life of a half-life and a half-life of that half-life and a half-life. That makes no sense to me. But the half-life of carbon is 6,000 years. Let's say it's 6,000. I could be wrong. Could be 12,000. But let's say it's 6,000. Then if there's carbon, you take some carbon and you can date it back and see that half of the carbon has left this organic material and usually using a mummy or something of that nature, then you can say 6,000 years. So then the other half-life would be 12,000 years. Or if it's 12,000, it'd be 24,000 years. That is as far as I will accept carbon dating. I won't accept it beyond that because the math just ain't mathing beyond that aspect of it. And maybe there's more I need to learn and understand about carbon dating to fully understand it. But it seems a little fugazi once you go past a half-life. Then, when the other way we date things is by looking at the dates that people who have written and inscribed things on stone and wall and when they made things, or the geological record of saying that, okay, if this limestone, looking at this limestone, it was quarried from this this cavern, this mine, this whatever, and we know that it was quarried, that it matches the time frame that other stones were quarried, and it was for this construction of this building during this kingdom or this age or this fiefdom of when they was building this. And so we can estimate that this building, this limestone, is this years old. Or we look at different sedimentary levels and then they put ages on those sedimentary levels. Now that can be a little off. That can be off based on other things that can happen in those particular areas, like a flood or a landslide or any type of explosion, lightning burning down things. They can be different. We can look at tree rings and know how many years something may be, how old something may be based on tree rings. But that still leaves us only a certain time frame because the oldest tree does not go back to 6,000 years. And it stands to reason that it wouldn't, because it's unlikely that any tree would be able to sustain itself that long. So dating things is very intricate, and it's not the easiest thing to do, but we can date that certain things were around longer than your Adam story. Because when we look at Göbekli Tepe, Taran Tepe, and we look at how these temples are built based on the stars, we know that we can look at that and see that, well, this was built to face Sirius. When was Sirius in this position so that this temple makes sense? And we can see that it was 10,000 years ago, 12,000 years ago. So there is star dating that is more beneficial as long as we understand that the temple or the building was built for that particular star. Then we can make a good judgment on when something was built at that time frame. Now to your last point real quick. Your God wiped out certain people. Certain people were wiped out because they had Nephilim. They were the remnants of the Nephilim. According to your, see, this is where this don't make sense, because your math ain't mathing. According to your Noah story, your God wanted to wipe out everybody on the planet, get rid of all the evil, and some of the evil was being created by the Nephilim. Now, if it was being created by the Nephilim, and Noah and his three sons and their three wives and Noah's wife were the only ones remaining, and we know the three sons are the only ones who had more children, then you would have to say that those children had Nephilim blood in them if they were still Nephilim on the planet. You would also have to say that Noah himself had Nephilim blood in him, which according to the Sumerian and Akkadian story, Noah certainly was half Nephilim. He was half Anunnaki. So therefore he would have carried on the Anunnaki gene, which would have made giants. So therefore that is the only reasonable way. So then you would have to agree with the Sumerian Akkadian story, which messes up your entire story entirely. But to say that as many as that there was a second incursion or all this sort of thing, you have no explanation if you want to keep Noah and his children pure. So you're just making stuff up so that your God can genocide people. But anyway, you have a great day. And remember always, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.